clothing can actually be haunted. This story takes place in the panhandle of Texas. There was this older gentleman who one day went to a thrift store and he stumbles upon this old soldier's jacket, that looks like it's from the Civil War. And he says, whoa, this is amazing. Okay. So he takes this jacket and he buys it and he brings it home and he hangs it up in his bedroom on this, mannequin that he has. So one night he, was laying in bed and he looks over to where the Civil War jacket on the mannequin is, except it's not there. And he's thinking, where did my jacket and my mannequin go? And so he looks around his whole entire house. It's nowhere to be found. The next morning, he wakes up and it's back in his bedroom in the same place where it was before. About 2 weeks later after this, nighttime again, he's laying in his bed once again, can't sleep. When all of a sudden, his room just gets really bright and he sees these things start to focus in. There are 3 Native Americans in his room and they're just standing there looking at him menacing, and they start going closer and closer to him, and then boom, they just vanish. And so this happens a couple more times. He sees these Native American men in his room and they just vanish. So he thinks, what's up with this jacket? Like, ever since I brought this jacket home, all this weird stuff has been happening. So he takes this jacket to a historian because he thinks maybe this jacket is, has some history to it. And so he takes it to this historian, and the historian says this jacket was worn by a famous Civil War general who, after the Civil War, he fought in like a bunch of different engagements with Native Americans, and squashed these several uprisings, as they called them at the time, but really, who knows what had happened. But anyways, this jacket was connected to this general who was connected with all of these, all this history. And so he says, wait a second, this jacket is what's, bringing about these spirits. So he ends up donating the jacket to a museum. And from time to time, the museum says at night they see figures of what look like Native American men walking around the museum. This next story comes out of Kansas, Lawrence, Kansas. There is a farmer, and one day he's out in his fields, and he's doing some work when he stumbles upon these pair of pants. And these pants look, very old, like, something from the 1800s. And he thinks, oh, this is interesting. Like maybe when I was tilling the soil or something, like I dug up these pants because they were all kind of muddy and dirty. So he takes these pants back to his house and cleans them up and stuff. And, so he goes, eats supper and all that. It starts getting dark. And in the middle of the night, he looks outside the window and he sees those pants. They are running across his bean field. There's no person in it, no body, but the pants are running by themselves across this bean field. And so he gets out of his house and he, runs after these pants that are just like walking away. And as soon as he gets close, they just fall to the ground back in the field. And so he says, you know what, I'm not bringing those in my house. Like, this is weird. I'm just going to leave them there. And the next night, once again, he sees these pants just walking around the bean field. And, several nights passed where he'd seen that. And then one day the pants were just gone. And the neighbors in the town, said as well, they would see these pants walking around by themselves with no body in it.